start to the evening.
That was good. That's a really good start, yeah. I forgot the name of our own programme. Oh, well.
Dragonheart, Mark. Dragonheart. That's
Shush.
what you're trying to say.
Shush. 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome to Final Whistle Weekly. And what a week it has been. No game on Saturday. How exciting is that? But we have had drama. We, of course, had the incredible misfortune after a Conquo, Callum Burton getting injured as well. Has anyone got Ben Foster's phone number? Also, we've got the pop-up shop now in Eagles Meadow just in time for Christmas, breathing life again as Wrexham look to back into the community. I mean, the last time I went to Eagles Meadow, it was to see a film, and it was in black and white. Mind you, I remember when all of Wrexham was in black and white. Anyway, enough of that. I'm joined by the man who every week complains about how cold the Stoke cold brew coffee stand is. Well, Andy, it's in its name. There's the hint. Andy Parkinson.
Oh, and it was cold last night. It was cold.
I accept your point on that. Fair play. And the man himself, the man who put Whitchurch on the map, and we'll never forgive him for it. It's Neil Williams.
Evening, guys.
Hello. How are we doing, chaps? Happy?
Yeah, good. Yeah, very happy.
Yeah. I'm going to enjoy our upcoming discussion of the game against Barnsley because I think Neil, I got the sense we saw it sort of in opposite ways. Although I think we both viewed it the same way, but looked at it from opposite metaphors. So it's going to be interesting duking that out. We could talk about the
Hopefully,
women. The
hopefully
women's
it's going
You'll
to
be
be
the referee.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The
You're
ref?
going to be the referee, Andy.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That sounds reasonable to me. He's
I'll give you both yellows for arguing.
Yes, I'll get him round the throat. We could also talk about the women's game at Cardiff on Sunday, and we've got an interview with absolute Wrexham legend Billy Ashcroft, who reveals that he taught one of the women's team how to drive. That's not the big thing in that interview, I suppose, to be fair. And also, we can have a look at how I spent my Saturday, actually, looking at a goalball session and discussing maybe the importance of giving support to VI sport in North Wales. Okay, this is Final Whistle Weekly. Well, we beat Barnsley, 3 home wins on the spin, which leaves the table looking really nice now. I was delighted with that. I thought Barnsley looked like a strong side. It was fast tempos. We resisted them when they put us under pressure. And then we did what good teams do. We struck when it was crucial to turn 1 point into 3. But you didn't seem so excited by it, Neil. Maybe more after the second half. Half time, you were a bit more, this is hard work.
It was, for me, I'm watching it myself, Mark. I thought it was hard work. I think I said to you last night, the first 10 minutes, Barnsley were dominant. You know, we took a while to grow into the game, but not a lot of chances created, cancelling each other out. And as I said again last night, I think a lot of the time the midfield sat too deep, so we weren't winning that second ball. They were just winning everything in midfield and coming at us again. But we grew into the game. We got better and better, and we created some good chances. Really, I mean, I think they had 2 shots on target, but
yeah.
I thought we did grow into the game and got a lot better. And in the second half, I thought we were a lot better again. But I said to you last night, you know, I thought it was like a game of chess. They were just manoeuvring each other around the pitch. Both teams were. And in the end, Wrexham won checkmate, you know, with that goal in the 93rd minute.
Oh, that's very good. Very good. You dokey pawn. Sorry. Okay, ref, adjudicate. Was it the 150-mile-an-hour thrill fest that I enjoyed, or was it the tense manoeuvring that Neil thought? Was it Neil's chess game, or was it my bare-knuckle fight on waste ground next to a pile of burning tyres?
I was thinking I'd probably go down the middle. I thought it was quite tight and
Ah,
quite entices, but I was disappointed none of you mentioned the few saves. I thought the Barnsley keeper made
Yeah.
3 or 4 good saves from Wrexham, and I think that could have changed the second half. The one he tipped over from Lee was impressive. I'm surprised nobody came up with that one.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it was a bit end to end as well, and I think Howard made one second half save that most of us thought where we were sitting was in.
Mm.
Um, Howard went down to his, I think it was his right, and pushed it around the post. Um, I thought that was a really good stop as well. So it was a bit more end to end than just chess pieces moving around. But I think what strikes me, and I'll take Neil's point on as well, is just how fast Wrexham moved the ball and how at League One, how much faster both sides are moving the ball from one place to place. And I think that showed why we've beaten some of the lower League One sides. Is Barnsley are up there pushing us, and their skill came through as well. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was end to end, but yeah, this it's just the speed of passing at this level is really I'm really appreciating, to be honest.
I think you're right. When you look at that experienced midfield, Dobson, Rathbone, and James, all of whom have experience at this level and higher, that's where their careers have been. I think you see how, especially in the second half, and maybe should I say that the last hour, they got a bit of a grip on the game in terms of the way they moved it around quickly. Whereas I take Neil's point on that in the early stages they were a bit too deep, and we were having to protect ourselves. They were dropping off a bit, maybe too much. Although in their defence, I would say that we do that, don't we? We're comfortable when the game's going against us. We'll drop into that mid block, and we are good at weathering those storms. And we did it well yesterday, I thought, because Burton didn't actually have to make any saves, did he? So, you know what, Neil? Let's just shake hands and call it a draw.
oh, I totally agree. I'm not going to argue with this. Just we see it, you know, different aspects of the game, and yeah, I agree. There were some good saves made by their keeper. Cleworth made a great shot, which he parried around the post. There was a lot of good saves their keeper made, and the save that Howard made was superb top draw, and it was a tip over the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
When the ball was heading in the top corner, he actually got to it, and yeah, he made a superb save.
Yeah, and as
So
Andy
yeah,
said, he's just starting to go down, but he's got such a strong right hand to be able to get that hand up there and save it. It's a brilliant stop. And in terms of strong wristed saves, the one we haven't mentioned is the one from Matty James, who absolutely hits a screamer from 25 yards, and Killip does brilliantly to save it with his top hand. He's going down and he gets his left hand up, and it's again a very strong hand to push it around the post. But those were kind of all the chances, weren't they? It was tight. And but like I said, we came up trumps at the end, which is just fantastic. That's what strong teams do, isn't it?
I was
oh,
quite
very much.
impressed by the goal as well because
Mm,
obviously um, Rathbone was running onto it and he had 2 runners either side of him, and I thought in my mind he's going to pass to either side of him
mm,
and this will go nowhere. And next thing I know, I saw him hit it, and I thought, I know where this is going.
yeah.
It's time to stand up.
Time to stand up. Fair enough. Yeah. It was a lovely play by O'Connell. I thought he and O'Connell were the two best players on the pitch, and it was appropriate. They opened it up because the way O'Connell got past Cosgrove, the striker, and then played the right pass to Rathbone was excellent as well, I thought. But yeah, that was a real moment, wasn't it? When that ball hit the net, it was just fantastic, and the volume was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, you
I
expected,
think most.
go on.
I
Sorry,
was going
carry
to
on.
say most. Yeah, sorry, Neil. I thought most Wrexham fans were settling for a draw
Hmm.
at
Understandably,
that stage.
yeah. That is
It's
the
exactly
latest.
what
Go on, sorry.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Andy. I think everybody, settled for the 0-0 draw, and some fans were leaving, and that's the one good reason why you don't leave early at a football game when you go and score a goal like that in the 93rd minute.
Mm,
Yeah, great ball from McConnell to feed him through, and just the seas opened up for Rathbone through the centre of midfield, and nobody came towards him, and he just ran and ran, and they were more concerned about Mullin where he was tracking to, and great strike by Rathbone, and 1-0. That's all we need. And I say, half time, Mark, I spoke to you and said, be nice if Mullen came on and scored a last minute winner, but right scoreline, but wrong goal scorer.
Well, I suggested it'd be even better if Mark Howard scored the winner, so I was wrong as well, wasn't I? But
Yeah.
speaking of Mark Howard, became our 14th oldest ever player when he came on. And I mean, at that point, goodness me, and no comment on Howard in saying this, but wow, at that point, we were just thinking, what the heck? Is it despairing? Okonkwo's injured, then Burton does so well, he gets hurt as well. You wouldn't, you think, how's your luck? And that happens in the space of 5 games. But wow, I mean, Phil Parkinson hit the nail on the head when he talked about Howard's professionalism. He trains really hard. As O'Connell said afterwards in the interviews, that he drives to training with Howard and he always has to sit and wait for him because Howard's always the last one off the training ground, even though he's third choice keeper. And wow, I mean, he really showed what a professional he was yesterday, the way he stepped in.
Yeah, very much so. To come off the bench and not play the game, for the first team for nearly a season and a half now, full game. But we've got to remember he got us through the whole title winning season really when we were in the National League, and he was our number one goalkeeper at the time. So he's got the talent, but to come off the bench cold, basically not expecting to be playing in a game and to play. So I mean, fair enough, he didn't have to make many saves, but he commanded his area. He made that one terrific save by tipping it over the bar, another one which was shot straight at him, and he just parried it in front of him and then caught it. So yeah, he was asked everything that he was asked of. He did last night very well, and I take my hat off to him. As you say, Mark, he's one of the, well, as you say, the 14th oldest player to play for the club, and I do. To sit on that bench week in, week out, thinking I'm never going to get a game, and then first, as you said, 2 injuries to come up. I mean, the only save that we had to make in the first half was when the keeper got injured, and I don't know whether it was just down to that save when he got injured. I don't know, but yeah, you couldn't have written it, could you, that we lose 2 keepers within 5 games?
Absolutely. Yeah, it seemed to me when he dealt with that driven cross from Phillips, which I thought there was a foul when Phillips won the ball back. So it never should have happened. Burton should be fit. But he seemed, I don't know if he just stretched himself too much, because watching the replay, when he gets up, you can see he's holding his leg. He's not quite right. But there's no obvious impact or anything like that. But seems to be a muscular injury, isn't it? But fair play to Howard, stepping in like that. What a hero. He's
raise the question, who's going to be on the bench then? Because I presume Burton will be out because it does look muscular, and he's certainly holding his sort of thigh muscle quite a lot. So if he has strained that, he could be out for some time. Now I'm unsure. Has the fourth choice keeper gone on loan? Was he here?
Yes. So Luke McNicholas is on loan at Rochdale. I have to hold my hands up and apologise now because last night I thought, right, I've got a whole day to double check my facts and find out if we can do anything in the transfer market or not. In terms of an emergency goalkeeper loan, which you certainly used to be able to do, and I'm pretty sure you still can. Yeah, I'm almost certain you can. So I think we can go in and take a loan keeper in. We could certainly sign a non-contract player. So if a goalkeeper who didn't have a club on the first day of the transfer window, we could definitely bring them in temporarily, because goalkeepers don't have to be registered. But I'm pretty sure you can still make emergency loans. If not, McNicholas is at Rochdale, and by all accounts is doing really well. I rate McNicholas, I've said on this before, really highly. But I don't think we're allowed to recall him. I could be wrong, but I don't think we're allowed to recall him. We've got Liam Hall, who came in at the same time as McNicholas, pretty much as well, as a young keeper. And we've also got the youth team keepers. Elliot Jones I like the look of him, what I've seen of him. I think he's something, but whether he's, I suspect we really don't want to throw him into it at this stage. So I kind of think we may see something between the middle of the week and Saturday that we've got someone to come in on the bench, which is not unusual, as I kind of jokingly said. Foster came to us. I remember Lee Camp came to us as well. I remember him at the start of during Parkinson's first season. Very experienced keeper. Didn't get on the pitch, but it was good to have a bloke who'd really been around the block a few times on the bench to be available. So yeah, I have a funny feeling we could see somebody coming into the building, as football folks say, before the weekend, I suspect. To see, won't we?
You'd have to see. But that was generally my thought on that, that perhaps we'll have to bring somebody in because you're down to youth team keepers basically because Luke's gone to Rochdale.
Yeah. It'll be interesting as well, just looking at next weekend, because we've just had 5 games in a row against teams that were in the top 10 when we played them. Now we've done really well, 12 points out of 15. Now we have the challenge of playing the bottom 2, well, no, 2 of the bottom 3, Saturday and then Tuesday. No, Saturday and then a week on whatever it is, Cambridge game, whenever that is, week on Saturday, I guess. It's a different type of challenge because they'll be fighting for their lives. We can't expect them maybe to have the quality of some of the teams like Lincoln and Barnsley and Stockport, but they'll have a heart for a fight and they'll give us a real go. So we need to show, all right, we can beat good teams, but we can also dig deep and impose ourselves on sides that aren't so strong and try to dominate them.
It might be a different sort of game as well because, as we always alluded to, the way Wrexham move the ball around, but it might be a bit more route one from whoever we're playing to be a bit more direct against us and whether we cope with that because Barnsley were doing very much the same as we were last night. Um, if the opposition go a bit route one wonder whether we can cope.
I think we can. I think Barnsley a good prep in a way because I see them more as a halfway house because they did go quite direct, all those big diagonals. The centre backs we got can defend our penalty area really well, can't they? And it's just a case of I think this is maybe where Matty James comes in, having players calm enough in and around our area that when there's a loose ball or we get to a second ball, you got players like him who rather than just clear it will actually be calm under pressure, use it, and let us hit them on the break. Because, well, as we did against Barnsley, when they committed men forwards, we looked to get space on the break when we attacked them, didn't we? So we've got to keep trying to do that, I reckon. So let's hope we can do that. Excellent. I think that's all we can say about that game, isn't it? Let's move on and have a chat about the women's game at Cardiff. Yeah, well, less happy times on Sunday. Wrexham went to Cardiff, the women's team. We lost 4-1. I mean, I apologise because I know I sound like a stuck record, but even when you lose 4-1, I'm still saying we were unlucky. The circumstances were a bit cruel. We played very well. We took the game to them and were the better side, but then they scored the first. And I'd always say, and to emphasise this, I'm really happy with how we play, but Cardiff are really good. And they got that quality in the finish for the first goal and the third one. Players running onto it and hitting it early before the keeper can set herself. That's class. And yeah, we were punished by that. The second goal's very dubious penalty 5 minutes later. And then we start the second half brightly and then concede a third from a good finish. And you're thinking, okay, this is painful, this. But to be fair, we ran the game for the last half hour. We scored, hit the bar. Their keeper, Chamberlain, who'd made a great save in the first half, made 3 great saves in the last 20 minutes. We even, amazingly, had a repeat of what happened at TNS, where an on-target shot hits a Wrexham player and bounces away. This one was more likely to save. The TNS one was definitely a goal. Nobody was there to stop it. This one, I think the keeper would have got across to cover it. But, even in those circumstances, you just can't buy a result off Cardiff. It's so frustrating for the players because, like I said, a lot of the performance was very, very pleasing.
Yeah, I think they're still growing into into who they're playing. Wrexham now, they've done well in their first season, and they're just finding a little bit tougher this season. They took a while to get going at the beginning of the season, but yeah, they've had some good results. But I'll always go back to you, Mark. You said you'd like to play them anytime, and I blame you for their demise at the moment.
100% correct. It's completely my
fault. And also whether you've been attacking the opposition opposition players and staff at Cardiff, like you did at TNS, and what their thoughts
When
of
I
you
dropped
were.
when I dropped the lens out of my glasses onto them. Yeah, you're quite right.
That's the
No,
one.
no,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I had a new pair, so they were safe, and they were very
Okay.
friendly actually. And I do want to say it was really interesting chatting to them afterwards because, like I say, they've beaten us every time they played us. It would be forgivable if there was an element of the routine about how they saw the Wrexham games, or maybe even arrogance, but absolutely not the case at all. They were very respectful of us. They felt concerned, they were saying during the last half hour, that we'd played so well. And it was really interesting. I was chatting to their data analyst, who's a lovely fella, and he was saying that the data shows that they have to run harder against us than anybody else. And the players all say they feel more tired after they've played us than anybody else because we have good fitness levels. As I showed, like I say, on Sunday, we were the team who finished strongly. So I was quite gratified about that because it was nice to hear people within the club saying, yeah, we're not just paying lip service when we say we respect Wrexham. We know that Wrexham is a difficult proposition. The trouble, of course, is that, we've come off that great form and then played the top two away from home, dropped 6 points, and now it's certainly not impossible to get in the top four, but it's going to be tough, and it's nice to be able to progress year from year. So they're really going to have to get their heads down and go for it in the closing stages of the season.
So do you think they see us like, the men's teams see us Wrexham, with the money bags and whatever, and they do want to get one over on us, and it's their cup final?
No, I think
No.
you could argue for the other teams, perhaps, but Cardiff and Swansea, I'd say no, because they are the more established team in women's football in Wales.
Yeah.
So, they are the big two. And yeah, I don't think they see it that way. Plus, okay, if we were buying in players from the English pyramid, sort of fairly high up at that, I think they would, but we aren't. We're looking at a different way of recruiting. So no, I don't think it's that so much. I think TNS, well, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, Wrexham TNS is always going to have some needle for a number of different reasons. And then
Yeah.
the other side, I think it is that, wow, it's a big thing, Wrexham coming to town sort of thing.
Yeah. No. No, with you saying that, I thought perhaps that they have to work extra hard when they play Wrexham, whether they have to raise their game when Wrexham come into town,
Well, I think
because of the like, you know, in the men's team, opposition teams do exactly the same.
and not for the same reasons, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, it's true, isn't it? I mean, look, those three home games we just had, look at the away support those sides have had. They've made a lot of noise. They've come in really good numbers. It's a big, big occasion for them. It's not the same like that on the women's side of it, because, like I said, we're newcomers. We were only in the first division last season for the first time. But
Yeah.
I think it was great to hear what the Cardiff analyst was saying. They do have to work harder, like you're saying. They do have to put in a bit extra because we do offer a threat in terms of not just our play, but also our very impressive fitness levels. So we can keep going in a game and push teams hard. But yeah, I don't feel that same sense of, oh man, we can put one over on Wrexham. When you go to like away games, like in the Cup, we've been to Cwmbran and Llanystumdwy and Avelin and we're going to places like that, which are small community clubs. It's more a sense of, oh, this is cool. Wrexham are coming to town, like the old Welsh Cup would have been with the men. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's not, oh, it's not, oh, well, you do want to put one over them. Obviously, a giant killing's brilliant, but it's more, oh wow, this is good. It's Wrexham, and we bring TV crews and stuff. It's that sort of thing. And then I'll explain to them that we'll get lots of people watching on the stream, and this will be all around the world. And then yeah, they get delighted, and quite rightly. It's a really good positive thing, isn't it? Everything around Wrexham, and it's nice. It's fun away days for us, and also a big home game for a lot of teams we play against. But we did
I
lose.
just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
on a slight tangent and
Yeah.
say, wow, what a result. Well, we're on women's football.
Oh, Wales against Ireland.
Yes,
Fantastic. Yeah,
indeed.
brilliant, that isn't it? Amazing achievements. First ever tournament, isn't it? Of course, the sad thing is that, like the men's league, the women's league is not where you're going to get the players for the international squad. There's no international players. Well, sorry, beg your pardon. I'll put that over. There's no players in the Wales squad who are currently playing in the Adran Premier. The last player who got called up, I think I'm right in saying, is Karen Chamberlain, that Cardiff keeper who made all those saves against us on Sunday. Drat. The only Welsh-based player in the Wales squad, which is like the men's squad, is one of the goalkeepers, plays for Gwalia United, which used to be called Cardiff City Ladies. They're not Cardiff City though. They're just another team in Cardiff, and they play in the English pyramid system, like we do in the men's team. So yeah, the Adran General's not got to the point where it's providing players, and I think it'll always have that role of being a bit like the men's league, if I'm honest. But that's why I've said this before on the show as well. It'd be brilliant if the Welsh FA really tried to take advantage of the fact that we are getting so much publicity, because we could make the women's league more important than the men's league in Wales, and I think that would be really a rather exciting achievement. Personally, I think that would be an amazing thing to do. But yeah, great achievement to get there. Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, and the
Yeah, I
amount
think
of
it'd be
support
good.
that was in Ireland last night. There was like 400 or 500 fans there, which is great for the women's team, and they're now expecting thousands to take up the offer and go to Switzerland for the final. So
Yeah,
yeah,
fantastic.
superb result for the women's team, and it's, as you said, it's the first time they've ever made or reached the major finals.
And the commentator next to me, she was Irish, and she was saying before the game she was keeping an eye on the match, and I was very diplomatic, and then you came up, Neil, and just started mocking her. It was horrific,
Did not mock her.
horrendous. It was. Oh,
Oh, okay. Changing the subject completely as well. Was it right you went travel down on the bus on at the weekend, Mark?
oh yeah, I forgot to say. Yes, it was an honor. It was amazing. So I've been on the men's bus a couple of times, but not in those sort of circumstances. But I was actually allowed to come in on the bus, travel down, stay over, and then come back, and that was an absolute honor. And it was great to see the seriousness of preparation. I expect it anyway, but it was good to see that, and it was just a privilege to get down there and actually travel with the team and see what their setup is for an away game as well. So yeah, that was really good. I was having to be
Do you sit there
positive.
like Billy mates, or do they speak to you?
Oh, they spoke to me, but my
Oh, right.
personality means I have to be Billy No Mates. I mean, that is me. I'm just, so but no. I People were kind to me, and let's be honest, that's all folk like me can ask for. But anyway, I'm going to
I
change
just
the
wondered whether you actually passed on to them the thoughts of what Cardiff City said about them always having to work harder when
yeah,
Wrexham
yeah.
come and play.
After the game, I was being, naturally, because they're not actually fully professional, but they're professional in their approach.
Mhm.
The players are disappointed, very disappointed, and I was trying to make the positive arguments and say, well, let's look at this as well. We did well in areas of the game. We did very well, but no, it was an honour to go down there. It was a real pleasure, to be honest with you, to do it that way. Um, but I'm going to change the subject now because I'm going to introduce a new regular occasional feature where we test Neil Williams's knowledge of porcine matters. Yes, that's right, everybody. It's pig or player. Now then, I know that Neil
Yeah.
genuinely is extremely knowledgeable on all that agricultural malarkey. Because I asked him, I remember a while ago talking to you about pigs at a match and breeds of pig. So let's see just how deep your obscure knowledge goes. I'm going to give you 5 names. They are either the breed of a pig or a Brazilian footballer's name. Because
Okay.
Brazilian footballers, especially traditionally, were known by nicknames, not by their real name. And we're going to see if they're pig or player. So Neil, all you have to say is pig or player. First up,
Perfect.
first up, Washington.
Player.
Correct. 1-0 to Neil. Secondly, Juliana.
Pig.
Oh, it's 2-0. My word, look at this. Third. This isn't going as I hoped. Pietran.
Pietran is a pig. It's a
Yeah.
pie train, actually.
Nah, man. He's got 3 out of 5. 3 already. Let's see if he can finish her off. Robert.
Player.
4 out of 4. Can he go for the clean sweep? Iago Pikachu.
That's a player.
5-0 to the Neil, lad. 5-0. Oh, man. Well,
Yeah,
I can say,
Pikachu.
yes. All I can say is, well played. You know your pigs from your players. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to
Oh,
foil
yeah,
you
yeah,
with
yeah.
some of these. Yeah, some other time
Perfect.
in the future. Don't you worry. That was beautiful, Neil. Your bona fide days are established. And what better way to segue into an interview with one of the greatest players in Wrexham Football Club's history? Billy Ashcroft was tasty, wasn't he?
Very
Brilliant.
tasty.
Well, he's such a lovely guy. He played such a massive role for the club in the 70s, achieved so much in Europe for us, in the league, in the cups. And like I say, he's a lovely fella, and he was willing to have a little chat with me. So here is Billy Ashcroft. Billy, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, so good of you. And wow, I mean, what a career you've had with Wrexham. I mean, we were your first professional club, I think, weren't we? When did
Yeah, well, I mean, I played for Blackpool as a schoolboy,
right? Yeah.
but Wrexham was my first club. I was 15, I think.
Hmm. Yeah. We had so
Yeah.
many good players coming through at that time, similar age to you as well. That would be the sort of backbone of the team in the 70s. And it must have been good to see the quality around you and think, oh, we could go somewhere here.
It was great because we had two scouts. We had one in North Wales and we had one in Liverpool. And the guy in Liverpool brought me,
Hmm.
Graham Whittle, Dave Fogg, Alan Dwyer,
Yeah.
Bob Scott, and the guy from Wrexham. He brought Joey and Mickey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were all there at the same time. Plus, we put Ian Moyer into the mix because he'd rather play with the reserves than the first team because we just had a laugh with him. He was just one of them off his head
Yeah.
type of guys.
Yeah. Oh, I interviewed him a few years ago. Yeah. Fantastic guy, wasn't he?
Oh, sweetie man.
Well, they used to, playing in the Floodlit League and things like that.
That's it, yeah. He used to love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that you bring that sort of camaraderie into the first team when you get in as well. It just strengthens the side as a whole, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is, I think the Northern Floodlit League team that we had, I think there was 7, maybe 8 players.
Yeah.
Came into the first. So Dave Small into the mix as well.
Of
I think that
course.
was John who found Dave.
Yeah.
So we had Dave in there and Mike McBurney. Roger Mostyn was there. So we had a fantastic team. And because we were all mates, it was just, I used to say we were a good pub team because we were all mixed together. We all went to the Panty Rockins together, played darts together, and on Saturday we played football together.
Wow, brilliant. And then you made your debut at Reading, and then how was it like, your first season in the first team? Did having such a sort of grounding like that help you to settle into it?
Yeah, well, I was supposed to make my debut before my 18th birthday, but I broke my nose up at Rustutland.
Yeah.
And it was a really bad break. I broke in 3 places, and it wasn't until I think it was the 3rd of October, I made my debut down at Reading, and it just went over in seconds, pretty much.
Wow.
I roomed with Arden the night before, and he was trying to keep me calm, but I just, you're that excited, you can't. But
Yeah.
I say it went past in a flash, and then the following week, we played Tranmere at home, and they'd knocked me back as a kid and said that I'd never make a footballer. And we actually beat them 4-1, and I had a reasonably decent game. And the manager came after him after apologised and said, "I'm glad you never listened to me," which I thought was quite big of him.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the season that ends with us in the Welsh Cup final as well. against Cardiff. It's a great introduction for you in the first season to get good amount of time up front, and also to be playing in games like that as well. Must be terrific.
Well, yeah, I mean, I say you take every game serious, but when you take the game against Cardiff and winning the Welsh Cup final, we didn't realise that we're going to go into Europe, but we thought this European thing was going to be some kind of Mickey Mouse trophy. But I think the first game was FC Zurich.
Yeah.
And they were a top team. And we weren't surprised. I mean, they were surprised at how good we were.
Yeah.
But we were surprised that we were getting to play against these teams. And it was just like, as a kid, with all my mates going to Zurich on a bit of a jolly up, and then going back to the Zurich on the way back in. So yeah, it was just fantastic days.
Oh wow! I'd imagine they must be played in a very different style to what you were used to playing against. I'd imagine.
It was, yeah. I mean, you've got to remember though, John Neal was way ahead of his time when it comes to tactical football. And with Arvin, I mean, when we play and we'd have we'd get man for man marking Arvin maybe because he was the star player at the time. What Arvin used to do, he'd go and mark one of their centre halves.
Yeah.
So you'd have somebody marking Arvin marking centre halves. So that's two of their players out the way and just one of ours.
Yeah.
So tactically, John Neal was fantastic. And I mean, if you remember the days back then, it was like we had such a fantastic attacking team. So wherever we went, we'd cause people trouble.
Yeah. And as well, from your point of view, I used to feel that European teams playing against British teams, often the sort of physicality of the British teams would help. That you see people like Mark Hateley going to Italy and doing really well because he's good in the air. And Jim Steele for Wrexham doing so well against Porto and teams like that. And I mean, you're in that category as well. Did you find that was, your physicality was something that really helped to deal with the defenders?
Yeah, I think my best game in Europe was against Anderlecht. And when we went out there, they had a goalkeeper. It was 6'2", and when he jumped, he was 5'4". And we just kept putting the crosses in, and I was getting a both this fella. And it was I must have played reasonably well at the time. And they'd not seen something like this. So their coach, Hans Cohn, put a bid in for me a couple of weeks later. But John Neal said I was too young to go anyway. So whatever John said, I was 100% behind him.
Yeah.
But I knew this was the same because when I went to Holland years later, it was the same thing. They'd had English players over there, but they didn't have anybody who was like willing to run through a player rather than over the top of them.
Yeah.
And there was times I played as a battering ram, and there was times that I could play that little bit of football. But they weren't used to it. And as I say, when Mark Hateley went over there, it was completely different.
Yeah. I mean, I see the Anderlecht game behind you on your wall. I mean, it's a remarkable achievement, wasn't it, for a third division team to be getting to the last 8 of a tournament like that and push a team like Anderlecht, who were, players they had Rep and Rensenbrink and all them, to push them so hard. At the time, do you realise what a remarkable achievement it is?
Yeah, well, they had Ariane and Rob Rensenbrink in there, and also Ludo Kruger played for Belgium, and Frankie van der Elst.
Yeah.
And these were top players, and I met Frankie van der Elst many years later when we played Club Brugge, and we just mentioned it because my mate was a guy called Jan Sorensen who played for Bruges, and he was saying you played against Gully before, and he said it was the Wrexham game. He said, it was a tough game. Now we didn't expect you to be such a good football team. So, and I beat him in the bar after anyway because we had a few beers and he couldn't keep up with the English or the Welsh.
Or the Welsh, very diplomatic. It does fascinate me that those days of playing in Europe as well. I mean, going to places like Split in Yugoslavia and going to Poland, going to Sweden. It must have been an incredible, just an all-round experience. The travel, the different types of teams you'd come up against, and the challenge of playing those 2-leg games must have been fascinating.
Very much so. I mean, if you join, I've had to join Tranmere or Preston or something like that. There's no chance of me playing in Europe.
Yeah.
But with the Wrexham sort of the Welsh Cup, it was what a bonus that was. We were playing against Grimsby on the Monday or the Saturday, and then on the Tuesday or Wednesday we're playing Djurgardens or Hajduk Split.
Yeah.
And it was just like I mean, the Anderlecht game at home. I mean, I played at Middlesbrough with against Man United up at Ayresome Park and at Goodison Park and at Anfield. And that. The best atmosphere I've ever witnessed was the Anderlecht game at home because everybody expected us to win. We expected to win. Anderlecht, they knew they were in for a hard game, and I think because we got that first goal, if they had got the equaliser and they'd gone to extra time, I think we'd have steamrolled them.
Mm-hmm. The as well, just thinking going behind the Iron Curtain to places like Yugoslavia and Poland. I mean, the image certainly that you used to have watching football was that if you go there, it's going to be really intimidating. Was it, what was it different from going to play an away game at, say, Chester, where you tended to score a lot of goals?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we played Hajduk Split at home and we beat them 3-1. And we were 2 goals better than really. I mean, we played them off the park, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when we got over there and we were going to the ground, it was so intimidating. I mean, if you'd ever seen the Man City arriving at Liverpool's ground a couple of years back when they were going for the title, it was worse than that. And they were spitting at us, they were pulling hair. And then there was a bit of controversy. I think there was either a penalty or we disallowed a goal, but it was one of the Iron Curtain referees who was refereeing the game, and you could see he was giving them everything.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been on a neutral sort of ground, or we got a European referee, or somebody you could trust pretty much. I think we'd have got through quite easily.
Yeah.
But once again, it was an experience. It was going into a cauldron like that place. It was just, it showed the character. You had to be a man to go and play there.
Yeah. I mean, you saying about difficult situations as well. I mean, and we scoring both the goals we won in the League Cup at Chester and places like that. You seem to be enjoy the big games, enjoy that sort of rivalries. You seem to often come up trumps when it comes to scoring.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than scoring against your rivals.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Chester here, and then Shrewsbury. I mean, we always classed that as a bit of a derby game, but then it was like. When I went up to the northeast, it was like Newcastle and Sunderland, and I scored against both of them. But I scored against them for Wrexham in the cup.
Yeah,
we beat them at home, and I scored the only goal. But it was like then I went to Holland and we played one of the local teams, and I scored in that game as well. So when you get this rivalry and you're scoring against your sort of biggest rivals, it's nothing better than that. I mean, the fans, you can see the fans are like so behind you.
I mean, another great achievement of the club while you were there, you played a heck of a big part in, was winning at Spurs, wasn't it? We won there in a League Cup, and you got the final goal.
It gets overlooked that because of the Arsenal game, because it was at home, and I mean that goal from Mickey was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But if you'd seen Mickey's performance down at Spurs, he scored the first 2, and I got the third goal. He run himself into the ground, and it was, to be honest with you, it was one of the best performances I've ever seen from a Wrexham team. There's always been better since, and games that I've not seen, but that for me was our best ever performance. And when we came off the pitch and shook hands with them, they were just astonished that we'd gone down and beat them at their place.
Yeah, that must be a fantastic feeling to get that respect from them, and they understood how good you were.
Well, yeah, I mean, I came off, I was a lot lighter back then, and the shirts used to fit me. But I've got a photo of me walking off the pitch shaking hands with Steve Perryman.
Yeah.
He was an absolute gentleman, but he could barely look it in the face.
Yeah.
And he could barely look at the crowd because they were expected to win. So he was very sheepish when he came over to shake hands. And I think in those days, if we could swap shirts, I don't think he would have swapped with any of us.
Yeah.
I think he was that embarrassed.
Wow.
But we got value for money. We actually beat them on skill as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. They despite the fact they had players like Glenn Hoddle as well as Perryman playing for them, who terrific talents, but it's like you said, a bit of a sort of forgotten upset, isn't it? Really, but a hell of an achievement.
Absolutely, but I mean, when we say that they had Hoddle and we had Gareth Davis, probably the classiest centre back that I've ever played with. I mean, I could compare him to Willie Madden from Middlesbrough, who was uncapped, but I don't think I've seen a better centre half than Willie. And it was the same with Gareth. even as a player playing alongside, I was in awe of him. He was such a good player. And then Mickey never got his shorts dirty because if he didn't have to slide tackle,
Yeah.
he stayed on his feet.
Yeah.
And he was teaching other people. He was doing the same thing with them.
Mm.
It was like, look at what I'm doing. And he was pretty much coaching when he was on the pitch.
Wow. He went into coaching
Yeah,
afterwards.
so he had a great time. And then you got the likes of Mickey,
Yeah.
Bobby Shinton. I mean, what a signing Bobby Shinton was. But I mean, reminiscing now about them, it's like, God, we had a great team. Graham Whittle.
Whittle, yeah.
Him and Dave Smallman, probably the two most lethal strikers I've ever played with.
Yeah. And Brian Lloyd in goal as well, as a very safe pair of hands. And I never understood why Gareth Davies didn't get a lot more Welsh caps. It seemed peculiar because he had such more like a modern style centre back. Do you know what I mean? Comfortable on the ball as well as the defensive side.
I've just lost you.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying it always confused me why Gareth Davies didn't get more Welsh caps because he felt like a modern centre back. He's good with the ball at his feet as well as doing the defensive stuff.
Yeah, he never looked ruffled. And it didn't matter whether he was playing against somebody who had like the skill of maybe George Best, or a battering ram like Mick Harford or something like that. Gareth just never got out of his stride.
Yeah,
he could handle pretty much anything you threw at him.
Yeah. And of course, I skimmed over really we got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, didn't we, in '74, and then, as you said, there were a few impressive results in that. Middlesbrough being one of them. Dave Smallman scoring the goals and scoring at Southampton as well. That was a heck of a run. And, I think a lot of players got their first experience of what they were going to go on to do with the great cup runs of Wrexham in that year.
Well, Dave scored in every round there. And, if you think about the goals he was scoring, it wasn't just like a little side foot. Then he was scoring headers against big centre-halves. He's probably the most natural goal scorer we had.
Yeah.
Graham Whittle was probably the most lethal because Graham could hit him from the dugout and he'd still score a goal.
Yeah.
But Dave was like, I speak to people at Everton now because I've got loads of mates at Everton, and some of the reporters down at Goodison Park. And Dave Prentice said he was one of the best strikers he's seen. He reminded him of Roy Vernon.
Oh.
And only for the injuries he got. Dave could have been one of the Everton greats, which would have been great for me because I was his best man, I was his best mate, and seeing somebody doing well at my team, I know I was made up for him, but it just didn't quite work out for him. You know what I mean? It was so sad, but when we look back, he did it. He played for my team, so I'm pleased for him.
I remember seeing the pictures of him at Southampton where it was like a mud pit, and he scored the only goal, and he's coming off the pitch. And wearing a white shirt, and he's just completely covered in mud. but everyone's put in a good shift and got a hell of a result.
Well, that was Middlesbrough as well. It was about 6 inches of mud.
Yeah.
And it was pouring down with rain. We were standing outside because you couldn't get a seat. It was that busy. And once again, it was just like one of those little bubbles in the box. And he's there every single time. Dave's always in the right position to put the ball away.
Incredible, isn't it? What a shame, like you said.
He didn't like getting his shirt dirty or his shorts dirty, though. He didn't like getting dirty or wet.
He was in the wrong profession, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
That season as well, of course, when we've beat Spurs and played so well, but frustratingly in the league, we do ever so well, and then there's that nightmare end of the season, isn't there, where Palace and Mansfield's basically beat us when we need 1 point out of those games. That must have been very tough to take.
Well, it was the Palace game, to be honest with you. It should never have gone to Mansfield's game. But yeah, if you think about Terry Venables said it was the best game of football he's ever seen. The Palace, the Wrexham Palace game.
Yeah.
And strange enough, I still talk to Rashid Harcook, who played in the game and actually scored. Yeah. And when I talked to him, and he just has a little bit of a chat in, and he said, "The days when we were warriors, my friend." And he recalls the game, and it's like, it's just a shame that somebody had to get beat.
Yeah. And they struck quite late on there. Kenny Sansom scored, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, it's on. I think there's a thing called the greatest team of the 80s or something, and it's about Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
And it shows you that game, and it shows you them scoring a couple of goals. But it could have been so different, because I think it was at like 9:05 in the evening, we were promoted.
Yeah.
And then they scored 2 more goals, and that was it. We had to win against Mansfield or whatever it was. And that was the reason why John Neal left. Because if Wrexham would have got promotion, John wouldn't have gone to Middlesbrough.
No, absolutely. I mean,
John was a plan for Wrexham. Yeah,
he was a remarkable manager, Neil, in so many ways. And I was explaining on this show a couple of weeks ago, talking about him, and sort of saying, in some ways, he's like the Bill Shankly of Wrexham, in that he builds something up and creates the foundations. I mean, we achieve so much as well, but he really set the club up in terms of bringing through so many young players along with yourself.
Yeah.
Having those cup runs and just setting high standards. And like you said, he's tactically astute compared to a lot of other managers at the time as well. I mean,
well, he was like Bill Shankly used to come to our games when he left Liverpool, and he come and do team talks and that. Wow. But I think John was more like Bob Paisley, because John was the sort of person who said, if you want somebody to listen to you, talk quietly. So you didn't see him like shouting at players and stuff like that. If you've done something wrong, he could let you know without you knowing that he's let you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we were coming off the training pitch, and I probably didn't do as well as I should have done, or trained as hard. And he said to me something like, I see you scored a couple of 180s in the pub in the Pentaroccan the other night. I went, yeah, I've made up. Yeah, I did that, Gaffer. He said, you must be putting a lot of practice in down there. And then I looked and I went, all right, yeah, I've got it. No shouting, no moaning at me. Just have a think about it, son. And that was it. So let me think about what I've done right and what I've done wrong. And he wasn't somebody who got in your head. He wasn't these who was like, used to bully you or that. He would help you.
Yeah.
Just a couple of words of advice. And it'd be like, yeah. Ali McGowan was the same when Ali was the head groundsman. And everyone thought he was just a groundsman. But what you didn't know was he used to talk to the younger players when you're on the pitch.
Yeah.
He said, I saw you play on Saturday. And, instead of running at that guy and taking him on the centre half, why don't you try and run in between him and the fullback? And they don't know who's going to pick it up. And it's like, this fella knows his stuff. And everybody in the ground would give you. George Shaw was another one, give you great advice.
You're making me think. It is. You're saying about Paisley and Shankly, and it is a bit like the boot room, isn't it? Really, you've got that core of experience and knowledge that can pass it on to you.
Well, John and Arvin, they were sort of our boot room. John trusted Arvin implicitly, and he valued his opinion. He never listened to me, John. And then later on, when I got older and wiser and became a more senior pro, he would ask for my opinion, or if I had something to say, he'd listen, and he'd go, yeah, "Are you right?" Or he'd explain why I was wrong.
Yeah.
But it was none of that sort of "shut up, you're talking to your backside."
Yeah.
So he'd let you build your knowledge up, which Arvin was just an incredible sort of font of knowledge.
Yeah.
And they relied on each other. And I think that's why Wrexham, when John left, that's why Wrexham did so well, because Arvin just carried on doing what he did best.
Yeah, sometimes it's the brave thing is not change anything, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And to be able to recognise that.
The money they got from me, they actually bought Di Davis, and what's that crap centre forward there? McNeil, that Dixie McNeil fella.
Yeah, I remember him.
Oh, bloody hell. He's a really good mate of mine. And we always say one of the things that we would have wished was that we could have spent a season together and played together.
Yeah. Because
we're good mates off the pitch. I met him when I came to see the games, and I think we'd have had a good chemistry on the pitch.
Of course, you went with John to Middlesbrough, didn't you, as well? A sign of how much he thought of you. It was... and that was then a profitable time for you playing in the top division. It must have been great to go there, but I know it would have been difficult to leave Wrexham as well.
Oh, God almighty. If we'd have got promotion, I wouldn't have gone to Middlesbrough. I would have stayed for another couple of years.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to play in the Premiership, or the old First Division. When I was a kid, I used to go and watch Everton. And I'd never kicked the ball till I was 14.
Yeah.
So I'd never played football at school. I didn't play for the school with Bob Scott. Bob went to my school as well. So it was like a rapid climb from a 14-year-old to actually playing in the first team. And I used to sit on the terraces with my dad or at Goodison Park thinking, I'm going to play here one day. And everyone's like, well, you don't even play football. But I was going to do it. And then when I got the opportunity to go to Middlesbrough, I couldn't refuse it because I wanted to play those big games.
Yeah. But Wrexham stayed with you, hasn't it? You know, to be fair, you always on social media now, you'll always be sort of talking about good luck to Wrexham and things like that. It's nice to
people
see.
will keep asking me about, what do you think of Wrexham? Well, the thing is, I made my debut there. I passed my driving test there. I got married when I was there. My firstborn was actually born in Liverpool, but we were living in Wrexham at the same time. So all my first peer was when I was at Wrexham.
Oh, wow.
So everything I did, my first was at Wrexham, and it always felt like home. Even when I go to Middlesbrough, I come home to watch a game. Even now, I go to watch a game.
Yeah.
I went to My Squin, and everyone was in there, and they're all, because as you say on Facebook, how you doing? It's great to see you, and nice to be back home. And it's like going back home.
Yeah.
It's a massive big part of my life.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad you're part of our story as well. And you've always been loved here and respected as well. And the way that you are as a person only adds to that. So thank you so much for that, Billy. You're a real legend of the club.
I wish I was, but I'm just glad to have been a part of it.
No, it's true. Don't you worry. I'm going to stop there because I messed you around, so I don't want to waste any more of your time.
Oh, no problem.
I feel bad about it, to be honest. Well, maybe in a year or so, I'll come back groveling and I'll do a longer one. But
you can do that thing with Drew Kearns.
Oh,
Brooke Kearns.
Oh, what's
plays for the ladies, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I taught her to drive.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
so there's still a little bit of me at Wrexham now still.
That is superb. Oh, I didn't realise that. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll see her on Sunday. They got a big game on Sunday, so I'll have to I'll get after her and tell her. Brilliant.
But she came to see me when I was in hospital.
Oh, really? Oh, fair play.
And she was, she's like, "Get up, you fat sod." And I was like, "Just give me about 2 weeks before I can get out of bed."
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, I'll remember you to her. Don't worry, I'll see her on Sunday.
Yeah.
That is superb. Billy, I'm so sorry I messed you around. I genuinely can't believe I did
don't worry
that.
about it. But, anytime, just give me a call.
Oh, cheers. Right, I'll let you go. But thank you so much for your time. That was amazing. That really.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to go cook the tea now.
Oh, good luck.
Lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, Billy Ashcroft, absolute legend of the club. And now, as well, because we had no game on Saturday, I went down to Ysgol Clywedog and I had a look at something which was absolutely fascinating, which was a session of goalball, which is a Paralympic sport for visually impaired players. It's got 2 long goals on either end of the pitch, and basically you have to bowl the ball, and then the other teams try to save it, and then if they do, try and bowl it back to score. It was gripping, so here's what I made of it anyway. Right, well, Wrexham aren't playing this Saturday, but that's not stopping me from a bit of a sporting action. So I've come to Ysgol Clywedog. There's a session now of a Paralympic sport, goalball, which it's hoped will really catch on in Wales, and it's going to be fun.
It's a goalball tasting session, so goalball's a Paralympic sport for blind and partially sighted people, but anyone can play because everyone wears eye shades, so then it's a level playing field. It's about using the senses, so we use an audible ball and a tactile court. 3 versus 3 indoor game.
Right, so we'll see the beginners first. This is a beginner's ball. As you can hear it, it's got bells inside it so that you can hear it coming. Players can be both visually impaired or not visually impaired because everyone's wearing a mask, which is the same for everybody until Paralympic level when you have to be visually impaired. But yeah, so this one will move quite slowly
and make a louder noise, later on we'll have a look at the proper scary ball.
As a sighted person, when you go into a sports hall, you see a multitude of different coloured lines: white lines, badminton; green lines, volleyball; black lines, basketball, etc. A goalballer, you don't see any lines. Yeah. You've got your eye shades on. So it's literally string and tape, nothing fancier than that, and then you just feel it. So for anyone who is visually impaired, you know, that may be a brailleist, that may be used to reading tactile maps, that's the principle. You orientate using touch. Also a little bit of sound, speaking with your teammates, but you feel for the court, you feel for the goals.
So you can see how that works. The orange ball has bells inside. It doesn't move all that quickly, so that's ideal for beginners. It also helps to work on concentration because it's a game where you've got to focus. Now then, that is a professional ball. Listen to it. Not as obvious the sound, and it goes a lot quicker. Male Paralympic players of goalball can throw this at 50 miles an hour. So yeah, it'll get tasty.
Like any sport, it's about being age and ability appropriate. So we use a ball which is the right size and weight. So we use the medium ball today, the proper Paralympic goal ball. There's also even a smaller ball that we normally use with younger kids, but these ones today were pretty resilient, so we got them using the medium sized ball.
I mean, it's a great game. It's a great social activity. The huge shame is that, and hold on to your hats and keys for this one, there is no visually impaired team sport club in all of North Wales. There's individual sports, judo and things like that, but there's no team sport for visually impaired people in all of North Wales. So, I mean, you've come a long way, haven't you? Where have you come from today? Douglas. Wow, so it's taking a long time to come here.
Yeah.
Doesn't
an hour and a half.
Yeah. Doesn't that show that we need, this to be spread around more? We need things to be happening closer to your house. Yeah. Would you be going all the time then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you would. Yeah.
We need a club in Gwynedd, I think.
Yeah.
Wait, this isn't Gwynedd?
No.
Oh, you're a long way from home, Dorothy. I mean, the Goalball UK guys do fantastic work, but they need support, in all honesty, because it just doesn't feel right, does it, that if you're visually impaired you can take part in individual sports but you can't play sports that give you that buzz of team participation. They're having to hire halls out, and that's a challenge for them, because obviously with people coming such distances, they don't want, it's not like a five-a-side course where you'll just hire a hall for an hour. You've got to hire it for a couple of hours. And then as well, you've got to set these goals up first. Setting these goals up, if you are sighted, one person, takes an hour. So you've got to book the court up enough time to put the goals up and to dismantle them as well. So it's expensive in terms of court hire. So yes, they are really looking to do something about this and try to get some funding going in order to set up an actual goalball club for North Wales. I think the plan, as I understand it, is to be based in Wrexham, but then that would allow to have satellite sessions as well under that umbrella of the club in other parts of North Wales. And what would be needed, do you think, practically speaking, to be able to get a club going up here?
Like any sport, the four key ingredients: you need participants. We've definitely got them. We've got enough people interested in playing. You then need a coach. So I work for the national governing body. As much as I would love to be North Wales goalball coach, I've travelled over from Yorkshire today, so I can't do that every other week, etc. So it's a local workforce, a coach and some volunteers. You then need a venue. So we've done a few sessions at the university, and we're at a school today. And then the thing that always wraps everything together is money, funding. Yeah. So, it costs time and money to put sessions on, to buy equipment. So those are the four things.
So, yeah, the last session, apparently, somebody came all the way from Cardiff as well. It's not great, is it, when you think about the difficulty of public transport around Wales anyway. To come from Carnarvon, you're going to be on a bus to Bangor, a train to Bangor, change at Chester, come back into Wrexham, and then find your way here from Wrexham Station. It's a hassle anyway. So having more localised sessions would be brilliant. Having a club in North Wales would be brilliant, and that's exactly what these guys are looking to achieve. Good luck to them in that.
So this is, I think it's our 4th or 5th session. We're trying to get a club up and running in North Wales. Currently there's no activity in North Wales or Cheshire either, so we've got some people coming in from Cheshire as well. And yeah, just trying to get the sport kind of embedded into North Wales, and then hopefully eventually become a competitive club and start playing in Goalball UK leagues. And who knows, we might have seen a future Paralympian in that sports hall today.
Alright guys, did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Really good.
And how experienced are you at goalball?
Not at all, were we?
Huh?
No.
Well, I've done it when I was 3, but I can't remember.
Oh man! So you've apart from when you were 3, none of you have played this before.
No.
Well, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Well, very impressive that, isn't it? Yeah? Is it easy to get into? Do the coaches make it easy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Start off slow and then you learn from there, don't you?
They like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's goalball for you, and I really massively enjoyed myself. But as I said in the report, I was depressed to hear just how little opportunity there is for people in North Wales to play VI sports. So visually impaired people, there is no club anywhere in North Wales that caters for VI team sports. They're individual sports like judo, but there's no club in all of North Wales that offers a chance for visually impaired people to play a team sport. And of course, there's so many benefits with, socialization as well, as we all know from playing team sports. But as I said in that report, people, family had come from Dolgellau all the way to Wrexham just to play the last session that they had, which was a good 6 weeks or so ago, because there's not many people to help out with it. People are coming from Carnarvon because there's nothing closer, and they want to set up a Wrexham goalball team. That'll be the first, like I said, VI team club in North Wales, and then once they've done that, under the umbrella of that, they can hold sessions Colwyn Bay or wherever, across North Wales. I don't know, it really shocked me to realise just the lack of scope. Oh, there were players who'd come from England as well, because there's not much in Cheshire either. It shocked me that the lack of opportunity. You see the TV stations will make a fuss of the Paralympics, but clearly we're not at a point yet where grassroots investment is actually making it available widely across Britain for people to participate. I don't know, it shocked me. Did it surprise you? Or?
Yes, Mark, it has really surprised me that they've got so limited availability to participate in team sports. I mean, when he said Dolgellau yesterday to me after the match, that's a heck of a long way to come just for maybe an hour's interaction with other people in a team sport. Mm-hmm. So it's I'm so pleased you're trying to bring this to the forefront and make people aware that this should be a lot more available for people with visually impaired or total blindness across the whole of North Wales at various satellite points behind across North Wales and Mid Wales. But people have got to get paid to maybe do this as well, and I don't know whether they're a charity funded group that do it or not, Mark, but is there lottery funding for it? But yeah, people need to be made aware of this and spread the word just to get more facilities available for these people.
Yeah, well, they have a grant, but that grant is dependent on them being successful in setting up a club. And just to point on the need for the money, it's also because, like you said, you got to rent facilities. The problem is that one, sighted person, it takes an hour to set those goals up, and also you have to mark the lines with string with tape over. So that it takes an hour just setting things up. Plus, because of what you just said, quite rightly, Neil, what's the point in saying to people in Dolgellau that they can come across and then only having an hour's session? So they'll always have a couple of hours session, which means they're having to book up halls for over 3 hours, and therefore it's expensive more than if you just book a court to play five-a-side on. So they really need support in terms of people and funding. I'm going to start a fundraiser. I'm going to stick it on my socials, I think, just to try and encourage people maybe to help them out a little bit, because they were great. I had such a brilliant time with them. It was tremendous fun. But yeah, I think it's a worthy subject for people to give a little bit to help out, to be honest.
Yeah, totally agree, Mark. Totally agree with you.
Well, I guess
we know they actually we have commentators at the ground, don't we? Who commentate on the game for visually impaired and blind fans. So it's an arm to that, basically, isn't it?
I mean, I would accept if someone said, "Well, what's this got to do with Wrexham Football Club?" It has nothing directly to do with Wrexham Football Club, except that I would strongly argue I don't think I'd be half as aware if it wasn't for the football club and its own community work. I mean, Kerry Evans is astounding. She's been a guest on this show in its previous iteration, and she's remarkable. And, this club's community work has been fantastic. It's a big part of what drew Rob and Ryan in, and a big part of their ethos. It's what drew the new investors, the Allen family, in as well, to a great extent. And yeah, I think that even if it's not directly linked, I was going to say, if it's again,
hopefully one of them will see this, Mark, and maybe step in and try and help you get something set up.
Well, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to,
Oh, I know you're not, but yeah.
But certainly, I think that in seeing all of those different examples and how the club has pulled lots of things together and done so many good things outside of just playing football, it does inspire you to want to, when you notice something, to try and do something yourself. And that's the strength of a big institution like Wrexham AFC. That we've seen the international fans through Ask Wrexham fundraising and different things do all sorts of wonderful things in Wrexham's community. We're benefiting massively from it, and it makes you want to join in, doesn't? You know what I mean? It's the mentality that has been created at the club and has been fostered by our current owners as well. So that's my argument, and I'm sticking to it.
I nominate you to be the ambassador for it, Mark. There we go.
What are your powers in nominating me as ambassador?
I just need somebody to second it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm on the board.
Here's the second.
Right, so they have an unwanted ambassador. They didn't ask for one, and when they see what I'm like, they'll wish they'd never got it.
Well, you got all this time in your hand now. You're tired, so
yeah.
There we go.
Right. I can maybe shave a little bit of time off my 8-hour swanning around Wrexham going, "Hello, everybody. Yes, it's me." Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? That would be brilliant. Oh, they're going to put me on Santa's float, I reckon, when he comes around Wrexham.
I thought you might have been actually building up towards that, Mark, in a couple of years' time. Just for that being slightly longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, firstly, I could tell you were looking at my waistband when you said that. And secondly, I have Santa experience, I'll have you know. In school, both doing like Christmas Fete, and also when I started teaching, one of the teachers, remember Mr. Reed, Andy?
Yes, how could we forget Mr. Reed?
Exactly. Yeah. And he used to, fair play, when I came back first as a teacher, he'd run an old people's party in the school, and I was Santa, and it was fun. But one year, the outfits that we had for Santa was shared for some reason with St. Mary's as well, with one of the other schools in the town, our primary school feeder. And it turns up on the day of the dinner for the old people, the Christmas dinner. And the beard was a cheap thing. It was just a rectangle of felt, essentially, with a slit cut in for your mouth. So it wasn't great. But it turns up. And obviously because when you're doing your old people's home Santa, then you know Santa gives the ladies a kiss. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm making it sound much more suspicious than it is.
Totally.
Yeah, I've ruled myself out of that MasterChef job now, haven't I?
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, it arrives, and clearly the St. Mary's Santa was working the crowd, so to speak. Again, I regret that phrase, because there was a big blob of dried gravy on the beard. And of course, I couldn't be Santa with that on the outside. And it was so flimsy that if I tried to pick it off, the whole thing would fall to pieces. So I had to do the whole afternoon with the gravy up against my face, my mouth, as I was, it scarred me. Even now, if someone mentions Bisto, I break out in the shivers.
Yeah, you love Bovril.
Oh, don't stop putting that into my head when I think about Bovril. That's not gravy.
Yeah.
That's just cow juice, isn't it? Cattle juice.
That sounds gravy, really, if you put a lot more water in it.
After your 5-0 victory in Pig or Player, I realise your bona fides and agricultural matters are unquestionable. Oh, I can't touch Bovril now. What a nightmare. I had to stop watching darts because I misheard Eric Bristow's name. Nightmare. On that bombshell,
Yeah.
we finish this.
Maybe time to end.
Yes, I think so. Join us next week, chaps. There's going to be more fun and games. But we'll leave them wanting less, shall we? Goodbye, everybody. Who knows where the end of next week's show will go. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers,
Come on,
man.
Andy, say something.
Cheers. Bye.
That'll be the one. Nice one. Bye.